in India. This is the sixth in edition which we are doing it, but this year they had no other option to go to the virtual conference. I would like to welcome all the panelists. Sri Vivek Bansalji, Director CFA Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited. Sir, thank you very much joining us today from your busy schedule. We have Sri R.M. Agrawal, Chairman and Managing Director, ITI Limited. We have Sri Manoj Abraham, IPS, Additional Director General of Police, Kerala. We have Sri George Kuruvilla, who is the Chairman and Managing Director of Broadcast Engineering Consultant India Limited. We have Shailendra Singh, co-founder and CEO, Shailendra Telecom. Dr. Chinmay Egde, Managing Director, Asticos Consulting. And the man who doesn't need any introduction to give you the welcome speech is T.V. Ramchandran, who is presently the President of Broadband India Forum. As we've been talking smart cities in India, a lot of things have happened with the Modi government coming out with smart cities in India, but still we have to go a long way. Smart cities sometimes get into the legal frame and doesn't come out, tender get cancelled twice, thrice, fours. More than me, Sri Vivek Bansalji and George Kurulaji and R.M. Agrawalji and Chinmay will be able to tell us, and Shailendra also, how the northeast signed long back, but still waiting for the green signal for the northeast smart cities. Having said that, let's listen to the experts who's going to talk on various smart cities, and our additional Director General Police Kerala, how the safe city and cyber safe cities to be made, how the automatic traffic control system, who else can give us, who's doing this job in Kerala. From Manojji, we'll hear that also. Having said that, I would like to welcome Sri T.V. Ramchandran, President Broadband India Forum, an esteemed industry veteran. TV been part of the mobile telephony sector in India since its very inception. As the first CEO of Sterling Cellular, Delhi, and having established and led CUI for 12 years, is also Honorary Fellow of IET London. Sir, I request you to give the welcome address.
Thank you, Shashi. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. A very special welcome to all the esteemed speakers and panelists, dignitaries who have joined us today. It's a very illustrious group before you all. And of course, welcome to all your distinguished attendees. This is a very topical subject, that of smart cities, with which broadband is extremely involved. Broadband India Forum is extremely involved, and we are also partners with Bharat Exhibitions in anything that concerns digital infrastructure. Smart cities, we all have heard a lot about it, and we're all very anxiously wanting the rollout of more and more smart cities. But the very term smart cities has got various interpretations with various people. You go and ask somebody, he'll say it's all about having something which is super 4G or 5G all over the city. You must have another person will say it's all about Internet of Things. Another one will say it's full digital infrastructure, fiber to every building, every house. So various interpretations are there. Some people talk of it as required for healthcare, some for water development and control. So interpretations are various. So probably it's important to listen to our experts today to understand what would be a holistic view of smart cities. I would think it is appropriate to sort of look at the interpretation of smart cities as we would like to see it, because these are the expected future urban centers. For us in Broadband India Forum, smart city refers to the use of ICT solutions to enhance the quality of life of citizens. That's a very simple definition because that embraces all aspects. When I say ICT solutions, it is anything concerned with communications, IT, broadcasting, all of them, technology. So it covers everything, whether it is fiber connectivity, whether it is Internet of Things, whether it is mobile, everything. So we need a comprehensive view of smart city that embraces everything for the enhancing the quality of life of citizens and to improve their interactions with government, with healthcare, to promote development and economic productivity. Many are the studies that have shown how the enhancement of broadband connectivity and net connectivity multiplies the GDP tremendously. As much as 3.3% growth in GDP can result from internet traffic development. So a smart city would therefore be a very great hub for that. And I'm reminded about 2-3 years ago, L&T did a L&T telecom side, I think one Mr. Purushottam, he wrote an article about a fantastic study done by them in Pune as a precursor to smart city there, and how they quantified how many thousands of crores Pune Corporation could save by rolling out infrastructure that will enable smart city. You just have to multiply by the number of cities and you know how much India would gain as a whole. Many modern cities throughout the world are embracing the philosophy of smart cities. It is not just India wanting to do that, it is there everywhere. We know that. And they are pursuing strategies in one of two ways. Either they upgrade their existing infrastructure to become digital compliant or put in new digital infrastructure. London, New York, Paris, Amsterdam, you name it, they're all there in that league. And we need to take the learnings from many of them and try to see what would suit us. We should not blindly copy what others have done, but definitely take the learnings from them to save unnecessary rediscovery of the wheel here in what would suit us. The current global spend on smart city initiatives stands at about $81 billion and is expected to reach $158 billion by 2022. By that reckoning, 100 crores of rupees which we have outlaid is not all that much. And like Shashi said, we have a long way to go. We have to go in for more and more of investment. And to attract investment, you must make the business environment as a whole attractive. I'm sure we can do it. The way things are being rolled out, the initiatives that are happening, this can happen, but it requires the participation of all players. One point is there are tremendous challenges. Without the participation of all, we will not be able to win, whether you call it rollout, because simple thing like fiber rollout, it is easier said than done. You got excellent guidelines from the center, but to have them understood, appreciated, and implemented in the various states is not an easy task because we are a federal country and federal constitution and states have their own powers, their own jurisdiction. It's not just the state government, even the municipality of the smart city, the corporation would have its powers to decide what is good for its citizens. And rightly so, I think that's right. So there's a lot of persuasion, conveying of the benefits which is involved. And there we all have a part to play. I would give the example. I recently was very impressed by something which I saw about the Delhi city, metro, the capital city, where the Delhi Development Authority, and I'm sure others are doing it also, other cities, many other cities are doing it, how they issued the need for a focus group discussion, what we call FCD in management jargon. And they're seeking the involvement of all players, including Broadband India Forum and other associations, to give inputs, to take the inputs for building into their master plan for Delhi, how to make Delhi smart. It should be made ultra smart because Delhi is a capital city. So they have posed excellent questions. They have talked of the issues involved. And I'll just read out for you some of the questions which have been posed, which is very, very appropriate. All these are very appropriate. What is the future digital infrastructure for Delhi? What is your vision of that? Technological projection. Secondly, what are the various space and land requirements for this? What will be the future impact of new technology advancements like 5G network, heightened interconnectivity, spatial fabrics, urban metabolism of Delhi, and larger NCO? In the case of Delhi, what are the current gaps in infrastructure? What are the future requirements and upgrades? What policy regulations are required to speed up the laying of fiber optics? What is the future of digital exchanges and transactions that will be required? What are the various health hazards? So, a whole list of questions have been posed, and I'm very, very excited by this sort of interaction because this is the part all of us have to play in getting involved with this and giving our input so that the competent authority can take the right decisions. It's no point sitting in the sidelines and saying, no, this is not happening, that's not happening. I think that those days are gone. We have to be an active participant, and we all have a big role in the rollout of smart cities, which is crucial for broadband for all. Without that, you're not going to have that broadband vision, which we're all after. I'm sure today's sessions are going to be very, very useful. They're going to, all the speakers would highlight the various areas that require attention, what are the challenges, what are the solutions going forward. And at the end of the day, I'm sure Bharat Exhibitions would come out with a suitable summary of the proceedings for the consideration of the authorities. Thank you very much, and wishing you all a good time and all the best to all the speakers. Thank you, Shashi. Back to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to welcome Sri Vivek Bansalji, the Director CFO of Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited. Sir, I request you to address the gathering.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Shashidharanji. Sri T.V. Ramchandranji, Dr. R.M. Agrawal, Sri Manoj Abramji, other distinguished guests on the panel, Dr. Hegde, Sri Puruvila, Sri Shailendra Singh, Sri Dinesh Sharmaji. The smart city, when we say, the name itself reflects some kind of a automation where nothing is done manually and all the systems are in place to take care of all the requirements. Maybe that is true for a geography where we are short of people to carry out the jobs. But if we go for the Indian context, smart city is something which I perceive as convenience of efficient management, optimization of the deliverables from the available resources, and ultimately our objective is to give a clean, green, safe, connected and convenient life to the citizen of the city. So let us come out of these jargons and see that what it actually means. BSNL as an organization has already implemented some of the attributes which I have narrated here in many states. But there the execution was as per the specification of the smart city management of the city, wherein we integrated the various smart systems to our vast and robust network. The reason is the connectivity for a smart city is like, a thread of a garland, where it is seldom visible, but it is as critical as the diamonds. Because here we have experts on the panel and a distinguished audience. So I would like to throw upon what I perceive as the attributes that makes a city smart. And for that, let us see through from the eyes of a normal citizen. When I get up in the morning, the first thing I need is the water. So we need to have a smart city, a smart meter for the water supply systems, at least to those homes where the piped water supply is available. It has been implemented in some of the cities, and it is no mean task because you need to take a reading every month for the billing purpose. But what it is doing is, it is only counting and then communicating that how much is the consumption for the month. Now, in my perception, to make it really smart, if I add to it another sensor which watches the flow of the water, senses the flow of the water, and communicate it to my system, wherein my logic can identify and alert if the flow is more than the threshold, which I can set by mapping these connections vis-a-vis distance from the source of the supply. What will I achieve? It will give me a check for those people who are directly putting their motors into the pipeline connection and therefore drawing more water, leaving others with a less pressure. So the imbalance of this is one of the major concerns in the cities where the piped water is supplied to the homes, and there is no mechanism except for physical, going to the premise and reading it at the time of the water supply, which is next to impossible, and therefore this process is not being put in place for many years. So if my smart meter can take care of this, I will have a straightway check, and therefore it will ultimately result in a better flow to all the homes. Similarly, for the non-piped water, I should have a location tracker wherein on the console I have the time of stoppage also in every lane of the colony or the areas where the water tankers are deployed by the municipal corporation, because piped water lines are not available for those homes. This is just one aspect wherein I can further make in real terms the efficiency in the management of the utilities, which affects every citizen on every day by making these attributes as smart. And this will really help in ultimately regulating and distributing the resources to all the citizens, which the government says it should be, social inclusion should be there. Then coming for the smart electricity, again there are smart meters which are already deployed in many of the homes. What we are doing there, we are again counting it and communicating it. Now the main problem in the electricity distribution is the theft and losses. So if I want to have a smart mechanism for the electricity distribution, I need to put in the distribution, last mile distribution lines, some kind of a mechanism, smart mechanism, where the connected load, which is already there available with me through the smart meter, should be seen with the actual consumption. And then I can pinpoint from my system where are the points where there are unauthorized connections. If I am able to take care of those areas, probably my electricity shortage, my losses in the distribution, and the ultimate pain of the discoms, that will go away by making this particular mechanism as smart. Again, this will impact the life of the citizens, because this irregulated consumption through unauthorized access and theft is a major source of irritant that I don't get sometimes the electricity the way I am supposed to get. Now I come out of my house and I go to my shop or office or maybe the college. So we have the smart bus stands, which is already implemented in some of the smart cities which BSNL has done. I'm sure other smart cities where we are not a party to the implementation of the project, this is taken care of. The bus system, wherever we have a BRTS and wherever we do not have the BRTS, both ways we need to have a smart bus in which there is a location tracking, there is a speed governance also through sensor which is communicated, which will give me a smart traffic management. And the most important for the traffic management is the signal, traffic signal. Traffic signal has become smart, wherein I do display the timings also, I regulate them. But I feel that still we are one more smartness short of building it into the traffic system, is that slab-wise based on the actual real traffic. A light should turn green and remain green, maybe from 15 seconds to 90 seconds during the peak traffic hours and the lean traffic hours, so that I have a better managed traffic system and therefore efficiency of the traffic in the city. Then once I reach to my office, I need a smart office, and by smart office I mean I should have an uninterrupted connectivity. If I reach to my college, I need the smart classrooms. If I reach to my shop, I need some kind of a connected mechanism for regulating all the processes there, right from the inventory to the sales to the taxation, and for that I need a pipe. Now, as I said in the beginning, that connectivity is the key to the smart city execution. Other than the attributes we are building in through the smart gadgets and the smart mechanism in various utilities. So one thing which we are still lacking is the importance to be given to the connectivity. It is something which is physical. An optical fiber is required to run through every lane, pass through every home, every premise, so that all the smart mechanism which make the city smart by making the connectivity to a central server system, to a central mechanism, to a place from where my artificial intelligence can make those processes more efficient on real-time basis. So there I need to have an exclusive utility pipe running through maybe from the center of the road into the central lighting system, because we have the experience when we lay these utilities on the edge of the road, every 3 year, 4 year, the roads require to be widened up because of the traffic it is handling, and therefore either I have to change it, and that change is not painless, plus it also gives me lot of interruptions, and a lot of cost goes into the management of the already laid fiber cable, lot of cost goes into the new fiber cable. So if I have a utility pipe in the center of the road beneath the central lighting, solar based central lighting is already implemented in many other cities with the auto sensor of putting them on and off. The utility fiber pipe will be a game changer, and therefore this is one important area where, starting from the public Wi-Fi running throughout the city, starting from all the CCTV cameras which are required to deploy either at the traffic lights or managing of the traffic lights by having the connectivity. The utility pipe is something which is very, very important, very, very critical to actually see through that my city becomes smart, despite having lot of investment, initiative and a project execution. Coming to the garbage disposal, here I will like to share the experience of Indore, a city which is actually has been declared as the cleanest city for 4 consecutive years based on various parameters. as I had an experience of working through there and also as a resident of the city, the garbage mechanism, we always talk of the smart garbage system, wherein we say garbage bins must be smart, wherein the sensor must be put in place. So when the dustbin is more than 70% filled, some garbage collection system should reach there and run it through. Indore has become clean, and one of the first and the foremost uh, activity which it did is it removed all the garbage bins from the city, and they started a mechanism in which the garbage is collected from all the premises once in 24 hours, and it is so efficiently built up. So what I need is a tracking system and a mapping system, that what are the areas where the garbage is not getting collected once in 24 hours. And there, with the monthly subscription like the property tax, water tax or electricity bills, every house is contributing to the financials of the municipal corporation also. And by removing those dustbins, most of the hurdles for the cleanliness on the public roads is removed. Because what we find is that it is those areas where the garbage bin is put is the most dirty. Because by whatever mechanism we adopt, we are not able to keep it clean. So therefore, the removal of this and tracking of the management system of the collection from the home is something which will really make the city smart. And we have a proven system. And then we need to have the minimum transportation of this collected garbage, and therefore they have made tens of such processing centers in the city itself. And therefore, the disposal itself, a vehicle collecting from home, is not required to reach all the way to somewhere where a dump is piled up, giving another concern for the resident of the area nearby. So therefore, to conclude what I perceive, and I wish that the panel of experts which is here in the smart city, it is necessary that the smartness of the mechanism is required to be built in to make the efficiency of the delivering systems and ultimately lead to clean, green, safe, connected and convenience of the system. I conclude with this. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I agree with you that when we talk about smart city, it has to be, everything has to be smart, whether it is smart class, whether it is smart road, whether it is smart communication, smart hospitals, smart police station, everything should be smart to take into the smart city. Sir, I just received a message from George Kurula, sir, that he has an appointment with the minister on a web conference at 11:30. So before I move to George Abram, sir, my request George Kurula, sir, to address the gathering.
Good morning, everybody, and all my fellow panelists who are there on the panel. It's a very exciting moment, as Ramchandra ji has been talking about, that we are into an area where we have a requirement across the country of several smart cities which have already been announced by Government of India, and there's a huge task ahead of us. And as we have been already hearing from Vivek Bansal ji, there is a great requirement of various things when we talk about the smart city. So as we have been already discussing, as everybody understands, that smart city is basically connecting all the, whether we say municipal or civil or police or administrative functions of a particular city, onto a control and command system by which we already, we monitor it, and also have a dispatch team to take corrective action in each of the requirements of the administration of a particular city. So when we would broadly talk about, starting from garbage management to sewage management to water management to electricity management, And then we have, traffic management as a very, very important role to play in a particular city. Of course, the police, the crime management, and one of the, the new areas that we need to be concerned about is the disaster management. And more because of the global warming, we are seeing the city get flooded. We are also seeing, earthquakes coming in Delhi and around NCR. We have seen lots of them. We have to be prepared for disaster management as well. So keeping all these concerns of a particular city, as we already heard, that city need to be smart, and that which means indirectly is that we need to be connected to a control and command, and the control and command should be connected to the right set of people for each function that has to be delivered. So when talking from a perspective from where I come, basically from the broadcast engineering background, I being part of Doordarshan and All India Radio, we have been looking at the various social concerns or the city concerns, and whether it be education or health or traffic, and we have been connecting all these various kinds of roles of a city, and including the cultural and the other areas, and keeping, informing and educating people through television and radio, conducting, programs concerning informing people about the various things which concerns their city and their state. So coming from that background, we are quite passionate of, getting into the smart city, because it involves people and the health of the people and the well-being of the people. And above all, as a country, when we look, it is so important that we have these parameters managed for the good of the society, for the good of the last person in the city or in the country. Now, when we look at all the technology areas, we being in broadcasting had been dealing with a very converged technology. On one side, when we uplink a channel, we use the satellite communication, and we have been doing the terrestrial communication, that is through radio and television. So we have been dealing with the radio frequencies, right from the shortwave to the medium wave to the FM transmission, and now we are looking at the digital transmission of terrestrial transmission. So radio frequencies, the microwave link that connect to the studio to the transmitter, and fiber through which now we are operating the cable TV network. And we have been active as auditors to the mandated auditors to do the cable TV head-end audit. So we are involved in the fiber and the auditing of the cable TV network, and therefore the fiber connectivity or broadband connectivity. So in a smart city, we have to understand that each city has its own challenges, and it has got its own profile. And looking at each city, the first role is that there need to be a very good consultant who understands and who has an experience of how to develop the proper architecture for a particular city. And after we have that architecture, the various functions, and therefore the architecture will invariably have the connectivity part of it. So what is the mixed mode of connectivity which is required? We were talking about Sikkim. One of our partners here, one of our panelists here will be talking about it, a city of Namchi. Those are hilly terrains, those are mountain areas, and therefore connecting from one place to another and sending signal to one part to the other becomes a real challenge. And so therefore we have to look at a proper consultancy that need to that we use the right technology, have the right OEMs coming in, and therefore have a very optimum system. As Sam Chandanji had been talking about, that we can save a lot of money and lot of recurring expenditure if we have an optimal solution to a particular solution. For example, let us say like in a CCTV when we capture, then there are technologies which when there is no motion or no activity happening, the TV will not record, or the camera will not record a particular a camera will not go into recording if it is just the same picture. The next picture is the same as the previous one, so it will only record whenever there is a change, and therefore we protect the storage part of it. So also there is a, the need for having the right kind of consultancy, project management consultancy, even before we start going into the development of specification or development of an RFP for a particular city. And we as a public sector, we are pitching in. We have Mr. Dinesh who will be talking, Dinesh Sharma, who will be talking about the standards. Very important to have the standards developed for us, so that we have a uniformity across one city to the other city, and therefore the interoperability becomes easier between city to city, particularly where the policing requirement is there or the disaster requirement is there, where the requirement is not confined to one city. It is the same. It concerns the national security. So if a person or an incident that happens and then, in one particular city, but a person moves on to the other city, the tracking of people and incidents is very important. And therefore, the servers in different cities or smart cities we are talking about should be interoperable and should be able to get into the data, to get connected across when we look at the national security part of it. So I would say the most important pillars right now is we start with a proper consultancy, to develop the architecture on a city to city basis, and on the basis of that, the RFP, and keeping in mind the Prime Minister's clarion call for Atmanirbhar Bharat. We have to see that what is the product that we can source from our own country, and what is the technology we can build up in our own country, and use more of those, because when we are using the servers, when we are using the broadband and connectivity and storage, and there is a great need to protect our data. So have a proper secure data. We have to make sure that our servers, do not get connected to a server outside the country. So those kind of the technologies to protect our content, like we talk about these days, blockchain technologies that are coming in, that need to be there. Another area is that many times, because of shortage of fund, we use very limited storage for 3 months or 1 month or 2 months of cameras in a control room, because we cannot have a huge amount of storage because that costs us. And we have to look at how we can have a perpetual storage, because very important is that we not only record it for immediate dispatch or attend to the immediate problem, but we also need to have a storage that keeps recording it months after months. If we have a 1 year data or 2 year data of a particular city, then we can put in a proper analytics in place. We can put in an artificial intelligence into place, and therefore we can predict what is the possible requirement in the future months. And therefore we can optimize all our requirements, both people and resources, and we can optimize it. So there is a need for, have a perpetual storage of record of data, maybe for years together, to have a predictive analysis, and which can actually optimize and can really reduce cost over a period of time. So these are, few things which I thought, we can, to our listeners, this may concern, and a lot of us may be part of the ecosystem. So we keep these perhaps things in mind, which we have learned over the past few years after we got into all the smart city tenders and, the consultancy part of it. The other very important thing, as we were discussing, is the funding part of it. As you would all know, that it is very difficult for Government of India to fund all the smart city, or for that matter, the state government or the municipalities to fund it. So we have to look at it, that how a return on investment can come to some of the activities. Like we know the garbage management, with the recycling of the garbage, it is able to give us return more than what we are spending. We have to look at that. Similarly, like trafficking, the traffic management, it has got a return on investment, because through the issuance of using the technology, we are able to recover the money and use the same money to have a better traffic management of the city. So we have to look at these kinds of return on investment, or wherever the funds are not there, we have proper investment coming in from the right sources, so that we can work on a boot model, we can work on a PPP model, thereby, the resources of the country is not, put into this system, and we are able to self generate and, work on return on investment. This is few areas, I think, which will be extremely important for the success of a smart city, because it is just not one time installation of the system, but there is a recurring cost of bandwidth, there is a recurring cost of human resource that has to manage. So keeping all this in mind, as we look at consultants, we look at the let's say the standard development committee, we look at the system integrators, we look at the OEMs and the entire ecosystem. Let us work together to keep these in mind, and so that we have beautiful cities, the smart cities in these countries in the coming days, and we have a quick rollout in the country, which is the real need of the hour. So I think I would stop here, keeping.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, George, sir. Thank you very much. Having said that, what is the requirement of the various things? Before I move to R.M. Agarwalji, I would like to invite Shri Manoj Abraham, who needs the safe city, how to make safe city. He is one of the customer for all of you. So Manoj sir, how to keep our safe city and smart city? What are the things you're looking at?
A very good morning to all of you. Hope I am audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
So I'll just share my screen also for the. Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here for this meeting, and I'm very thankful to Sri George Guruvilla, who spoke before me, because what I wanted to emphasize is basically about the smart cities and what the PPP solutions can be, because he emphasized very much on how the state government, central government is facing budgetary problems, and how we can actually use these projects to generate funds, because that is the only one that remains, that will sustain the project. Because over the years we have seen a lot of camera projects, a lot of digital projects have gone into oblivion, because the maintenance part, the huge investment that comes in, and after that the bandwidth, and when the camera gets hit by a vehicle, it's very impossible to repair it and get it back. So what we moved in Kerala, along with the smart city projects in Kochi and Trivandrum, we gave a very big PPP push to all these projects, which has actually helped us in a big way in maintaining these projects. And we find that this model is so very good that this can be easily adopted in other places, because this PPP initiative can be very useful to have a sustained smart city project. So I'll just concentrate on the law enforcement part. I'll not look at the other aspects. I'll just look at the PPP, the traffic initiatives, and the crime management initiatives. These are the two basic factors in the smart city initiative. Everybody knows about the integrated digital traffic enforcement systems. What I want to emphasize here is basically that we moved in, the government gave a lot of funds under the smart cities, but we parallelly, because this doesn't cover the entire junctions, we can't cover the highways and other things. So what we did in Kerala is we actually went into the PPP mode, and we started replacing the physical check that the policemen do with cameras and equipment, all types of cameras for lane detection, for you name the offense, for overspeeding, for rash and negligent driving, wrong side overtaking, red light jumping, crossing the yellow line. So all these offences, it is possible through AI to actually detect all these, and we built in some local systems also, where we can identify people without helmets, people not wearing masks also now, and so that also has been incorporated. Software has been incorporated into those cameras to automatically actually generate these challangs. So basically the policeman or the person doesn't have to do anything. the challan is automatically generated and sent to the person at his home address by where he can do it. So what actually in the PPO mode, as was mentioned earlier by Shri George, that we actually share the fine amount with the company that has installed those cameras. So it's basically a 20-80 sharing or a 40-60 sharing, where at 100 rupees, 60 comes to the government and 40 goes to the person who has actually done it. So these are some of the cameras that we have installed. We have speed detection cameras, we have AI-based cameras, we have red violation detection, helmet absence, pollution controls. All these cameras are set up under that smart city initiative. Basically, on the PPP board also, where he's given a 10-year bid, where the bidder has to invest everything, the government doesn't invest anything. The technology also has to be done by the bidder. Actually, he runs that part of the control room also, all this fighting system. They actually put in the manpower also to do that. All the ingredients also are done by them. It's only the fine sharing that is done basically at the government level, where you share based on the proportion of what has been agreed upon. So it's actually running very well. The good thing about this thing is the maintenance part becomes very simple after that, because you have some the company who's taken the bid will ensure that the equipments are maintained properly. Anything happening to any particular camera, if some vehicle comes and damages that camera, the person immediately goes without any procedures that we have to follow. He immediately goes and repairs it, because he is losing money if he doesn't put that camera on as fast as possible. So the control rooms also are run by them. Many of the staff, of course, our staff is available, but many of the staff is manned by them. It's the same thing what we did in just connected to the traffic enforcement system is the traffic payment collection mode also. How the public can pay their fine. So this also we moved into the PPA mode. We tied up with the Federal Bank, which is one of the major banks functioning here. And they actually supplied us a lot of e-challan systems, and they put in a payment gateway connected to all the places with SDFC and Federal Bank. And the public can actually pay their fines from anywhere. They can actually pay it on the spot using their debit cards and credit cards. They can go back home and do it over online banking, or they can go to any branch of the major banks, SDFC, SBI, or Federal Bank, and they can give that challan also. So we made it very useful for the public. They can pay whatever mode they want, and it becomes very easy. They cannot come to the police station, or they can pay through different modes. And this also has been given totally free by SDFC. What they do is all the money goes to their account, and T+2 they have to transfer it back to the government treasury. So based on that arrangement, they have given this system also totally free to the government department. I'll come to the third system, which is another very important system which is not existing in many places now in the smart cities. It's basically a crime monitoring system. We have cameras, we have set up cameras under smart city for looking at various junctions, for looking at the important places of public tourist places, etc. But what we have done under the centralized intrusion monitoring system, we have actually covered most of the banks, most of the public sector undertakings, most of the government entities, even major companies, the IT firms. They have their own cameras. We have actually asked them to put more cameras also. But what we have done, we have aggregated that into a particular system through our Keltron, and we actually manned all those cameras through the sensors, etc., through a centralized control room, which actually sits in Trivandrum. Where any intrusion through all those systems, immediately the systems are available where you detect that intrusion, you verify that intrusion, and then the information, if it's a verified information that the intrusion has happened, then that information is immediately passed on to the police, so that the police goes and handles that. So this center also is totally run by another entity. That's in this case it's Keltron who runs that institution. They go and set it up. They charge something to that institution. They charge a particular monthly amount. Of course, they charge the initial amount for setting up the cameras, etc. If this particular institution doesn't have. Otherwise, they charge the person for monthly charges of maintaining that. They maintain the center also. They have built the center also. They verify. They put the staff also to verify all the information. And once the verified information is available, they immediately pass it on to the police. So the law enforcement finds it very easy. We have no investments, but most of these cameras are being watched, and any definite information coming in of any intrusion, it comes to the police. So we can respond very faster also. So basically, the public gets an intrusion system that without paying any money also, we actually have the law enforcement has that system where we can actually watch all those banks, all those critical institutions inside the smart city, which makes it, we can make it more secure, more safer, and we can have a faster response time with the police getting information online. So these are the three systems that I want to emphasize on. Of course, partly we have done it through the smart city funds, but when you have a private player, when it's a PPP model where it's coming through a vendor who actually maintains it also, it's a sustainable model. So I think at this point of time, I want to emphasize that this systems can work both in traffic management and in crime control, which will actually give that sense of security and traffic enforcement to smart cities. So these initiatives can be implemented in various places. We have already tried it out in Kerala. It's working very well, and other states can follow. So those are the three things that I wanted to share. There are any other doubts or questions, I can join in later to handle them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for giving the insight of the Kerala, how the Kerala traffic police is managing. Thank you, sir. I would like to welcome Dr. Aram Agrawal, Chairman and Managing Director of ITI Limited. Have you seen in the recent past that ITI is doing a fantastic job after Shri Aram Agrawal has taken over as a CMD? Lot of projects is taking up, the lot of NFN project, the other projects, and now recently started into the COVID shield. Also, they started manufacturing. Sir, I request you to please address the gathering, sir.
A very good morning to you all. Thank you very much, Shashi Bharji. Thank you very much, all the panelists. And I must, first of all, I must compliment Shri Shashi Bharji on execution holding the 6th edition of this Smart City conferences. And I have been part of the few Smart City conferences when I was posted in Delhi, and I must admire the Bharat exhibition for holding and taking initiative on all the things which the government is doing in the recent past. So yes, again compliment to him for very important and timely theme on the smart cities. This is the surveillance, innovative surveillance, and then development of the smart cities and sustainability of the smart cities. Yes, we are doing and we have done a lot of works in the last 6 years as far as smart cities are concerned. And my eminent panelists have touched upon most of the issues, most of the points which already have been done or which are required to be done. But definitely, I will like to touch the points which are not touched. And of course, all the eminent panelists have touched most of the telecom related points. So I would like to touch upon those points which are now security related points and which now very important as far as personal security is concerned, as far as data security is concerned, as far as other records are concerned. So why is first of all why smart cities are required? Mr. Vandal has covered that we in the country we do have a lot of good population, and smartness is required where less population is there or resources are not there. So yes, he is right to some extent. Right now, population demography of our country is like this: 70% is the rural area and 30% is the urban area. Even then, in today's time, we are talking of the smart cities. Of course, we sometimes listen always this smart village also, but smart cities is often more used word in the government's perspective. So, in the next 20 or 25 years, as per the study, the ratio will be reversed. 70% population will be in the cities and 30% will be there in the villages. So, in that perspective, whatever space we do have, whatever amenities we do have, those required to be used smartly. That is why smart cities, topic of the smart city is now very relevant in today's terms. Because space may be same, facilities and other amenities may not be very much more, but definitely population may be 2 or 2.5 times than what it is today. So to make conditions, to make those conditions and the human life more comfortable, livable, the smart city is very relevant. Yes, smart village is also equally relevant in today's time. So that is the context why smart city is required to be there. At the same time, I would say everybody talks of the security, and in today's time, physical security is very important. As far as everyone is talking of the physical security, but at the same time, now digital security is now equally relevant, very relevant. And government of India has already brought out this personal protection bill in 2019 itself, which which requires individuals' personal protection of the data. So at the same time, this whenever we are having digitally uh, digital data in the physical environment, data centers is the physical and data is about the digital. So how we can secure our data digitally? How our transactions are digitally secured? So we need to think that way. Right now, more data is coming on our physical environment. So data security is nowadays very important, and this access management and is now very relevant in nowadays time. And access management uh, along with the Aadhaar card assumes more significance, because once our key management, access management, and that way identity management along with our Aadhaar card, Aadhaar data is in case it is seen. So it becomes a very relevant and foolproof system for our security of the data, security of our personal records. So I don't think right now all these things are being taken care of by many of the smart city management. So this requires a holistic review of the whole system. Similarly, once we talk of the security, this is the digital security, but at the same time, network security is equally important. Right now, Government of India has already barred Chinese equipment, Chinese routers, Chinese, and of course, we have apprehensions about the other systems as well. So in the networks, yes, optical network is there. That is a physical system, but at the same time, once routers are there, we don't know who can access these routers supplied by the different countries from which country. So yes, physical security along with the router security. So for router to be secured, it is more important to have the routers in case if these are manufactured in the country. Yes, ITA is taking initiative in the manufacturing of these network routers to be manufactured in the country itself. So yes, for these network security, cyber security is now very important, because nowadays war will not be through the physical system; it will be through the cyber attacks. So physical as well as cyber. So cyber will assume importance in the next coming years. So at the same time, our security operation centers assumes a greater significance. So I would like to emphasize that once we talk of the physical security, we need to talk of the digital security, digital transactions. Access and identity management becomes very relevant. Now we are talking of the second layer, that is the cyber security, and then security operation systems. So all these systems, security operation systems, cyber security has to be integrated part of our smart cities, because each and every type of records, whether it is the human records, health record, agriculture record, my personal record, even bank transactions are going to be stored in the data centers. So in case if we don't today, we don't know in what way our data can be misused by the different access management systems. So just to have a comfort, just to give the comfort of the users of those smart cities, we need to emphasize those things. And yes, right now we are in the navy stage, but yes, we can have a better planning from now. That is why I said this innovation surveillance, sustainability, and development of the cities. That is very relevant topic in nowadays time. So now coming to the storage of the data. Right now, what is happening each and every, we are working in the silos. I must say, our country is not a very rich country where we can afford to have, so many systems in place. Each and every system, even in a single city, is having the same record in different way, in different format. It's a duplicity of the records. That way, accessing to those records is also very difficult. At the same time, management is also very difficult. So now we need to have a very robust data center, which need to have the data not only of the public. At the same time, utilities also need to have data of the utilities also. Similarly, all the data relevant to the concerned public and the resources and the population need to have, and access have to be given to different utilities. The data access needs to be different utilities in a secured manner, so that whenever some utility want to access, whether it is a water management system or the electricity management system or the health management system, the same data of the individuals are stored in a common data center within a secured manner. Those utilities can definitely access those data in a transparent manner, in a secured manner. And yes, at the same time, it will not only economize the whole system, but management will be much easier. These data can not only be in the city level, this can be at the state level also, and this can be at the country level also. So that way there have to be framed, so that a robust cloud-based data center has to be there. I mean, right now somebody pointed out, in case if we wanted to have the storage of different items for a longer period, so that analytics may be easier for us. So yes, this will problems will be resolved. You just see how Facebook is doing, how this WhatsApp is doing. They simply keep our records for the years together. But then why in a country which is a technocrats country are not able to manage all these things? Why? But because, by the way, our implementation in different cities have got the different approaches. So we need to have a uniform approach. Yes, implementation can be different way, but implementation and technology and other things have to be open sourced and have to be in a uniform manner, so that it can be economically created in a smart way. We are doing the smart cities, but it has to be done in a rather more smart way. I remember when I was posted in duty headquarters, we had come out a robust M2M roadmap, which was released by the right now the Honorable Communication Mr. Shri Ravi Prasad ji. And yes, Mr. Ramachandra, who is here, Mr. Sashidhar, he is here. He was here already witness of those things. So we have already recommended. DOT has already recommended how it should be developed, how smart city needs to be developed. It was recommended to all the ministries, including the urban development ministries. It was even the central government, the cabinet secretary also. Still, those things are very relevant in today's time. When we are talking of the devices, right now, whatever devices we are using in different parts of the cities, whether it's a camera, whether it's a TV devices or access devices, those devices don't talk to each other. Those are not interoperable. It is unnecessarily putting cost on the individual users. So I would like to say that whether it's a data center, security of data center is very important. At the same time, it has to be at a secure place also. And of course, access has to be given to the analytical engine also, so that intelligence can be drawn out of these very important and rich records, so that it can be used for different purposes by different agencies. Agencies can be given access to these records, so that in a limited way they can, as per the requirement, they can access all these data. So now again, coming to the devices are concerned, the devices needs to be developed in such a manner, so that most of the devices are maybe possible through software configurations. Right now, we are using On the one side, a smart energy meter. On the other side, a smart gas meter. On the third side, a smart water meter. So I just wonder, all these three things can be done by a single agency, just it can be software integrated. These things can be there. They can be software configured. And maybe in the case, and the, I don't know, but technology is there. Case and the smart energy meter. The same meter can also work. We need to think those ways. Those will be the different innovation in these areas. Similarly, uh, we do have different access devices also who work to access different equipments. So all those things can be software configured. So that is the first point. The second thing is again as far as the physical infrastructure in the cities is concerned, so Mr. T.V. Ramasundan is already covered. Central government has beautifully and in a very excellent manner given the directions to all the state governments, local governments, how the physical layer has to be created in the different cities so that the vibration of the network can be created, all the things can be taken care of. So again, local government, state government, and the central government have to have a very comprehensive system and a coordination committee so that all these things can be taken care of. Because in the 5G era, yes, in the coming up of 5G era, and 5G is rather more applicable and more relevant in this smart cities. Because smart cities means more applications are required to be there. Only then will be very benefited. So in the 5G, the more of vibration and powers and everything required. Coordination is required. For this coordination, I think we need to resolve all these issues. Because in our country, a well thought planning is required to be there. Only then work will take less time. But all these conditions takes most of the time. That is why we need to do the work in a smart manner, smarter manner. So the development of the smarter cities, firstly we need to do the work in a more smarter manner. So yes, in case all of these things are taken care of, we will not only save a lot of important time in creation in development of the smart cities, but a in a very economical manner we will be able to develop the smart cities. So finally, I would like to say I have touched by the way those points. Yes, the work is being done, but I would like to say yes, whatever is being done. Uh, you may agree or you may not agree, but definitely we are doing in silos. So we need to have some uniform system developed. And I think this one exhibition is there. Similarly, Broadband India Forum is there. Similarly, Skiva is there. So many other agencies are there. So they need to come out in a robust manner. They can come out again with the recommendations to how a robust, unified, smart city development, which is sustainable, which is secure, which is innovative, can be created. And for this purpose, I'm always by the way. Now we are in ITI, and by the way, ITI we are taking all those steps which required to be there for the smart cities. Whether it's we do have the cloud-based data center, and from our cloud-based data centers, we already started with the security, cyber security is a solution. This access and identity management is a solution. Similarly, we do have this chips which are required to be there. Different sensors are required to be there in the smart cities. So we have planned to start manufacturing those things, and of course, all the telecom equipment, whether it is a router or the cable or the wire, all those things we are doing from our ITI. But I'm not saying I'm doing obviously of ITI, but definitely as a PSU. And by the way, yes, in ITI, I was you decide. I know complete what is this IoT or M2M, how it is required to be done. So yes, a group can be formed, and so that at least those things can be taken care of not only in the implementation of the good smart cities, but it can be a unique solution to the other developing countries as well. And we can support them through our different organizations. So again I will turn my thanks to the organizer, Mr. Shashan especially, who has given me this opportunity to talk and to share my views. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I agree with you that network need to be secured, and as the government of India decided to secure further our network, not using the Chinese equipment. I agree with you, sir. What you discussed, we will discuss offline, and take it how to form it and take it up with the government to various smart cities. I will take your guidelines here, and you can lead that committee so that we, with your ideas and others' idea, we can take it up with that.
Thank you,
Having
sir.
said that, let's listen to Dr. Chinmay Hegde, who's a cyber expert as well, also the PMC consultant, also the MSI, who's doing a couple of smart cities. Chinmay, over to you.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for Mr. Shashi and the organizers for providing this particular opportunity. And uh, it is very we are very opportunistic to be part of the such a elite think tank. And thanks again, Mr. Shashi, for this opportunity. So I would want to present my slide deck, which is talking more about standardization into the smart cities, especially. So shall I go ahead and do that? I think I'm audible to all of you, and I'll
Yes,
take
you
it
are
up.
audible. You can go ahead. Yes.
Fine, fine, fine. So I'll go to the first slide of this. The okay, I'll be hope everybody is able to see my full screen of slide deck also. Mr. Shashi, please
Yes.
confirm.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine. So, mainly smart cities in India are currently at such a kind of a stage where we need to get into standardization, and some of the standardizations globally are being followed are ISO 37120, 37122, and also there is something which has become recently a kind of issue for all the cities is resiliency and crisis management standards that is being addressed by ISO 22320. Right, so all these standards are in fact quite important, and we need to move ahead having such kind of a standards implemented in India. Recently, all of you must be aware that Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs and Smart City Mission are also working on building a capability maturity model for the smart city command and control centers and the infrastructure, mainly ICT infrastructure, which complements the physical infrastructure. So I'm going to touch upon that particular thing, and also the KPIs, which are quite important for the smart cities, using which itself the urban administrators can understand how their city is performing in terms of infrastructure. Well, they might have implemented a lot of infrastructure, made a lot of investment, right? So but how are they performing in terms of two aspects? One aspect is about how administratively all the departments are performing, and second one is about how people are liking it, citizens perspective, like a quality of life, right? So this is a brief about Astricos. Astricos has, in the same line, we are of course into consultancy, as well as we are, providing our platform so that a particular assessment on the respective cities who are under implementation of smart city can happen. So the platform's name is Smart Interop and Analytical Platform, which uses the machine learning, artificial intelligence to do that same job. And these are our footprints in some of the cities in India. We are there almost, like you can say that, north, south, east, west of India, and especially very important and the key implementation for us is currently going in the state of Sikkim, which is quite challenging, as all of us know. Apart from that, we are also into smart industrial parks, which Indian industries are also moving towards that. They are implementing kind of a smart industrial parks, where a lot of environmental guidelines and sustainability and the energy conservation, all these kind of aspects are being touched upon. The agenda is about first about the referencing to the global standards and how different models across the world or across the globe are being followed, and moves on to the KPIs management and how our smart city mission is coining the KPIs management. There are guidelines, like as all of you know very well, that the MOHA guideline is the Bible of entire thing to follow and look into the matters. And similarly, how each smart city can get into monitoring such kind of KPIs in terms of International Standard Organization and others, WCCD standards. The global standards, essential references for the smart cities are these three. You must be able to see this, like ISO 37122, which is a sustainable cities and communities indicator for the cities administration. There is 37120, which is for the quality of life, for the how citizens are feeling about your smart city and how they are able to take the benefit of it, right? So is my screen visible to all of you? I think so. Yeah, fine. So, and ISO 22320, which is a security and resilience emergency management. Recently COVID-19 has been the big challenge for all the urban administrators, because quickly a lot of command centers of smart cities have been converted into COVID war rooms, right? So, but how? According to the standards, not necessarily only COVID-19 is the disaster. There are other types of disasters like flood, landslides, or earthquakes, or storms, or any such kind of things, typhoons, etc. Right? So, global smart city framework, in a nutshell, is about environmental layer, digital layer, service layer, and the action, especially. So, where the development first, the physical infrastructure need to be implemented, and then it goes on to adding up top up of the information communication technology overall, and then especially the essential part of entire thing is to have the action orientedness, operationalization of entire thing, so that the action can be taken from the learnings. It's not just about the dashboarding. So some of the famous standards are mainly NIST USA framework, which is being followed in North America, United States of America, and European standard model. And there is a very mature model, that is Spain Smart City model, which is quite referred all across the globe, where all these actually what they highlight is taking action and feedback loop, which gives it back to the initial stage of the cycle, so that the entire learning can be again put back into the action. So, global smart city framework. Some of the framework models which are using something called balanced scorecard approach, typically being followed by the businesses, companies, or corporates across the globe since many years. Now this is being implemented to the smart cities. Now let's come to the India's mission, what India thinks to do, and what are the guidelines that have been put across, and maybe there are some more things to that. Smart city mission guidelines, as all of us know, that for the ICT, for the cyber security, and for all the implementation, there are smart city guidelines. This is the reference. I can pass on this slide deck to the organizers who can send across to all.
Sure.
Yeah. This is the smart city livability index, which is being, the weighted KPIs are being defined, where there are 4 pillars, as quite famously known: institutional, social, economic, and physical. The weightage is given out here, the 25% weightage for the first pillar, and 45% weightage is given for the physical pillar, where the infrastructure, bringing in the infrastructure, is quite important. And India is not easy to bring up the infrastructure, right? Can you imagine blocking traffic of couple of hours or half a day in any busy city of India? It's impossible, right? So that's the challenge in India. But there are a lot of things which are retrofits, like all of us know. In India, retrofitting, new implementation, both have to go hand in hand. So now, what has been the cardinal lapse? Cardinal lapse has been like, okay, one of the lessons learned is COVID-19, COVID wake-up call. It has been reported that only 1% of the smart city projects across all the cities was own investment into healthcare infrastructure. I'm not talking about the medical infrastructure. I'm talking about the medical administrative infrastructure, which comes under the purview of urban development or urban management. So that has been very important. We learned the lesson, and we are moving on to implementing or correcting that respective aspect by means of, okay, let us, we have spoken about these policies, KPIs, etc., but how to implement that? So there is a framework. The framework or the methodology is balanced scorecard approach. So the left hand side of the screen, what you see, this is typical corporate balanced scorecard, and which is also coupled with employee satisfaction perspective. However, when it comes to the urban infrastructure or cities infrastructure, as one of the speakers quite importantly pointed out, is like, urban migration is the challenge, right, in India, because people are moving from village to cities in search of jobs and all. That is the one of the major motive Mahua or the smart city mission has brought in, to improve each the B or C grade cities of India, so that people do not need to move out of their town in search of jobs, and there are not many population clusters in across India, because India quite population density is quite important, and that needs to be spread very well across India. So the perspectives are citizen perspective and process perspective and administrative and financial perspective. Quite important is like our Mr. ADGP of Kerala has pointed out how monetization of the infrastructure is quite important. So this particular balanced scorecard approach, which ensures that your city is performing well in terms of indices of the all four aspects in terms of citizens perspective. Okay, what Astricos has been doing in terms of this addressing this white space in the market is, we have brought in something called SIAP platform, Smart Interop and Analytical Platform. Currently some of the cities are also have taken it, and we have implemented, we are under implementation, not implemented, because data is quite important. Data accumulation in cities is quite important for this, and also retrofitting of the old data which is existing is Smart Interop and Analytical Platform, which ensures ISO 37122 and ISO 37120 compliance of each city. And similarly, the resilience, the platform, which is mainly for the crisis management and resilience, ISO 22320, and our platform is certified under that, and also which can help the cities to maintain these certifications or obtain this certification. So this is a typical command control center. How does this particular platform addresses this? I want to just quickly take you through those set of slides. These are all the various infrastructural elements in the smart city. Maybe it is a traffic, water, solid waste collection, and crime management, surveillance, and e-governance, citizen governance, and etc. And also there is a data center and a command control center platform. We couple with the command control center platform, which gives the data analytics such as machine learning, like, okay, it gives the hindsight, it gives the insight as on date, and also it gives the foresight of, okay, if you go like this, where will you arrive? Is your situation going to be good or bad for the urban administrators? So, and how can they action? We give the advisories so that they can put it back, and through the automation of the command control centers, SOPs or device controls, they can implement that back and then figure out how better they can fare. So there are some screens of that, and how can the personalized dashboards can be coming to the picture, and some of the advisories. So when we give the advisory on the water infrastructure or each of the infrastructure, energy, surveillance, and all these infrastructure, where you can raise a work order, because all about smart city is about, one is asset management throughout the cities. All the elements and equipments are spread across are nothing but assets. And similarly, there is a workflow and SOP, because SOP management across departments, collaboration is a key aspect here. How to upkeep that and act on that proactively, and creating a policy for the device and equipment control, such as, okay, there is somewhere something is happening, and then how can you take control on that device and then implement the respective policy. So this is what we implemented for a couple of cities in India right now, where also one of the district is using in Karnataka, which is the crisis control and response mitigation, which catered for one of the aspect of COVID-19, which recently, but this can do more than that, such as all the various different epidemics or pandemics can be monitored. Similarly, the flood control or any kind of a crisis response mechanism can be addressed using this. So we have integrated with Aviva integrated command and control center platform, where it comes together as addressing the needs of the urban crisis management or the rural crisis management or anything of that sort cost. And also it is quite an action oriented platform, because operational intelligence and putting that back into operation. It's not good to not act when we know some problem, know about some problem, have information about the problem. So that's the reason we have made it more of an action oriented platform, so that whatever the learnings, the situation awareness is taken, is put back into action collaboratively. Because in any of the government machinery, departments work in silos. Bringing them together is quite important. That is where the smart city SPVs are being formed for, right? So, and also we are certified. Our platform is certified by Aerospace and Defense Consultants Association of India recently, and they have given a good guidance to build more and more such kind of scenarios. And thanks. That's it from my side. And Mr. Shashi, and again organizers, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank,
I'll end my.
thank you, Chinmay. Thank you so much sharing the insight of smart cities. Having said that, now let's move to the next speaker, who is Shailendra Singh, the founder and the CEO of Shailendra Telecom, who is an ISP Northeast. So Shailendra is going to share us how he is helping to support the smart city in Northeast. Shailendra, over to you.
Thanks, Shashi. I have a small presentation, so I just like to try and see if I can get this on.
Sure, Shailendra, sure.
Can you see the slides? Yes.
Yes, we can. We can. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I think my previous speakers were very well known. So I thought I'll just introduce ourselves, what we are. So the northeastern part of India is actually a very mystical part, which I think most of India does not know much about. So I thought it would be good to just give you a view of the region and the way the states stack up. As a provider, we are a broadband internet service provider in six states in Northeast right now. We, as a specialization, we provide public Wi-Fi also, which is quite unique. Most of the internet service providers today in the market are actually broadband to the home, to the office, but public Wi-Fi is our unique USP, I would say. How we are involved in the smart city business is we are the bandwidth providers for Pasighat and Itanagar, and we now have involvement with Aizawl Municipal Corporation, where we are providing them public Wi-Fi services as well. My own approach on smart cities is that probably we've started off on the wrong foot. Why I say that is that most of the RFPs or most of the deployments of smart cities, at least the ones which are happening in the Northeast, are actually system integrator driven. Whereas to my mind, a lot of them should be services oriented. So the DPRs are written as a system integration project. The RFP is out as a system integration project. There is a different approach between a system integrator and a services entity. Services here, I mean complete managed services where you're managing end to end for the smart city or the municipal corporation, whichever it may be. And as one of my previous speakers said very rightly, that it is very important to actually have a PMC who knows the particular city. There was a question just recently, I was reading right now on AirMeet itself for this particular event, where somebody said that can we not have standard KPIs across the board? Now, that might not be possible because the scale, the kind of smart cities, everything is very, very different. So the way I would have approached it is to actually have a user group which would involve the PMC, the municipal corporation, and citizens of the city to identify 1, 2, or 3 most important challenges that the city faces. There might be a city which has a huge problem for power, and I would quote Aizawl for that itself, because Aizawl in Mizoram, last year we had an outage of 36 hours where the whole city was without power. most of the networks, most of the systems went down because nobody plans for that big an outage. So there, power is an issue. Other cities have has water as an issue. Garbage is an issue everywhere. Now, again, sustainability for smart cities is absolutely important. And I saw a question from Mr. Waklu, which I definitely concur with, that any of these smart cities have to have a sustainable model. It's not good enough just to put up the equipment and make it run for 1 year. You have to have a model where the citizens get an advantage and thereby you can monetize it. Now, my own experience of public Wi-Fi, which is very, very limited in smart cities today, but I think it is coming up strongly. In most of the RFPs of smart cities, there is a component of public Wi-Fi, but it is more as a product rather than a service. So what I have experienced in Pasighat and Itanagar, there are 5 access points which are deployed as an enterprise configuration. Now the regulation in India is different. The regulation says that I need to have data of what is happening on the Wi-Fi network as well. Similarly, it is very important that if the NIA and other organizations or DOT need to access data, if there is a security issue, they should be able to identify where it came from, post facto or while the activity is happening. And then, of course, the issue of sustainability, which I just mentioned about. Now, smart cities are very different in plain areas and in hilly areas. As Dr. Chinmoy, we were talking earlier, in Namchi, they have a problem because underground fiber is a bit of a challenge. It possibly is not allowed. So, for instance, even in Itanagar and Pasighat, all the connectivity is on RF, which definitely is not the right way of doing it, because when traffic starts mounting, RF would start having a problem. I can vouch for it myself because when we started public Wi-Fi services in Shillong, we started with an all RF network. But soon we had to create a backhaul on fiber because traffic started mounting. So that is one important issue. Then again, in the northeastern region, lightning, and I'm sure areas like J&K and Himachal also have lightning as a major problem. So you need to protect your environment so that lightning does not hit you. Otherwise, you will have huge outages. Then the customer most often is so used to using a 3G or a 4G or a 5G network that he feels that anywhere he can get coverage, which is not possible with Wi-Fi, because it's a different approach to wireless broadband internet, where you have to come to the device rather than the device going to you. And that is a change which has to come in for users as well, because of the handset limitations, nothing else. We inaugurated with Aizawl Municipal Corporation. We inaugurated their free Wi-Fi, as they call it, on the 4th of August. So it's very, very recent. But the cycle that they took was very interesting. They did not ask us to do the deployment, because 3 years ago, they had brought in the regular ISP to deploy public Wi-Fi. A lot of money was spent, but they had to close the network subsequently because the quality could not be sustained. Our approach has been different because we've been running a public Wi-Fi network both in Shillong and Aizawl. In Shillong for about 3.5 years now, in Aizawl for 1.5 years. So the municipal corporation had the option of actually checking, testing over a sustained period of time, liking the quality, and then signing up to partner with us in this endeavor. Now we are expanding the network because we had deployed in specific areas. Municipal corporation wants certain areas like even colleges, universities to be covered. Then the government environment is to be covered. So we are working with them in expanding the network. Few pointers on the sustainability. I think sustainability is very, very critical in a public Wi-Fi system. So what we've done is we have a fixed 1.5 GB per day available to the user, which is free. But post that, if he wants to get additional access, he can buy vouchers online. The municipal corporation is using our platform for citizen services. For instance, waste segregation, make Aizawl a plastic-free city. Local advertising, so the local players, whether it be cab operators or it be other new startups who would want to talk about their product, can use our platform for local advertising. Again, the government itself uses of a lot of PR and advertising to communicate messages to the citizens. So our platform, particularly to communicate message to the youth, I think is just right out there. COVID-19 has taught us a new application, which is public Wi-Fi being used for education, because not every family can afford to have broadband connection at home. So we find a lot of students near the hotspots using smartphones to attend their online classes. This was a model which is, I'm sure, happening in most other cities as well. And then other e-services like health or in any other services of similar nature could also be supported on the same to make it a sustainable model. Just as an example, I wanted to show you this ad which is being run by Aizawl. So the messaging is being done on advertisement using the public Wi-Fi platform. And I would just like to end with an interesting view of the hills and an actual application which we've done in Shillong city. I don't know whether you can hear the audio, but the text is there.
We are unable to hear the audio.
Actually, the script is also there alongside, so I thought it's a short video.
Thank you, Shaili. Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you, Shaili. Thank you. So it's a real challenge in connecting the hill areas as Northeast, and congratulations, Shalendra, for signing the Aizawl contract. We are running late, and without taking much of a time, I would like to invite our partner supporter, Mr. Dinesh Sharma, to give his vote of thanks. Dinesh, over to you.
Thank you, Shashi. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, and rather good afternoon. Many of our eminent speakers have left, but let me complete this formal vote of thanks. Shri Vivek Bansalji, Director, CFA, Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited, Shri R.M. Agrawalji. Pleasure to see you again, sir, after a long time. Chairman, Managing Director, ITI Limited. Shri George Kuruvilla, Chairman and Managing Director, Broadcast Engineering, ECIL.
Shri Manoj Ibrahim, IPS Additional DG of Police, Kerala, Shri Shalindra Kumar Singh ji, co-founder and CEO Shalindar Telecom Services, TV Sir, Shashi Dharan, my good friend, and Dr. Chinmay Hegde, other respected colleagues from industry, ladies and gentlemen who are online in this virtual world where we are living in due to the COVID situations. It is my honor and privilege to be a part of this session. I need not to revisit what everybody has said. Sashi has summarized very nicely. I have made my notes and I'm very pleased to be a part of it. Thank you, Shashi, for this. Well, SMART has many annotations and it takes 360-degree perspective in the way we live. Distinguished speakers have shared their vision, challenges, roadmaps, and including Dr. Chinmay, who highlighted the importance of standards. Uh, I mean, I could only share brief points about this due to the COVID pandemic. And I was very pleased. I have been monitoring the situation about the smart city rollouts. And many of the smart cities have really done a fantastic job. And one of the example was touched upon by Dr. Chinmay Hegde. While utilizing the technologies, many of the cities, to name a few, like Agra, Pune, Chandigarh, Bangalore, they utilize the availability of this technology integrated command and control centers to take care of COVID pandemic in a very effective way. If I could briefly touch upon Varanasi, deployed drones to spray sanitizers around COVID-19 sensitive part of the city. Agra did a consultation service for telehealth. Bangalore and Kakinada, which was also touched upon by Dr. Chinmay, they utilize the data dashboard to take care of the pandemic related actions and measures. So basically and effectively, while the smart city rollouts have some delays due to unavoidable reasons, whatever we have rolled out, wherever we use the technology to roll out these solutions, we have taken care of this COVID pandemic situation in a very effective way. And I must say, good work on this side, including CCTV surveillance, GIS mapping. Very fantastic job. But if I could summarize all the speakers which they have talked about, I mean, we need to look into the holistically to take this to the next step. A lot need to be done. Smart is not smart unless and until citizens are not smart. They are not able to utilize those services and facilities in a smarter way. Hence, we have to continue with our enabling and implementing policies which are more or less in place, but we have to really see them from an implementation point of view. Digitization has to go faster and faster, and we need to have the integrated and cross-sectional management and planning. With that, I will only like to touch upon one thing which was also touched upon by Mr. Agrawal regarding the machine-to-machine and IoT. If I see the smart city proposals, the weightage to ICT is 65%. And we understand that it is all information communication technology. When we understand that, the machine-to-machine and Internet of Things sensors are playing a very important role. And one particular global standard which was not covered, I would like to talk about is one M2M standards. Because when we talk about machine-to-machine and IoT, the only global standard which exists today is through a partnership project, like one M2M partnership project. They have developed specifications where they are rolling out the common service layer, which is a layer which could be built upon on the existing wireless infrastructure. Uh, we have transposed these specifications by the organization called Telecom Standard Development Society of India. The TEC is also in the final stages of making them as a national standard. And the CDOT, which is our own organizations, have implemented these specifications. And I think we have been working with many organizations to roll out these common service layer solution based on global standard as part of smart cities, because it has a potential to be replicated because of its nature of interoperability. It has a potential to bring economies of scale. So that is the one thing which I would like to highlight, that we must, I mean, the consultants and the other stakeholders who are part of this particular session, to consider implementing one M2M based solution as part of smart cities. With that, I would like to thank our distinguished speakers, guests for taking out time from their busy schedule and participation in this virtual session and sharing the available insight for actualization of our country's Dream Project 100 Smart Cities mission.
I would also like to congratulate our Bharat Exhibitions, my dear friend Shashi, for organizing this virtual session. And with that, thank you very much, all our participants who have joined virtually. Have a great day and a session ahead. Thank you very much.